Hey internet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindsay Lijo. Today we are going to be talking about how to deal with the difficult people. Now I know this is something that a lot of you out there struggle with because it's very highly searched essentially. So we're gonna get right into it. If you would like to talk to me about this topic or any of the others, my link for video sessions on Snug is down below. Let's get started. All right, so first things first. Identifying someone as difficult in your mind is already going to be laying the groundwork for cognitive expectancy. And this is something that we're going to be talking about more in future videos, but essentially it's going to be making it harder for you to deal with this person because of how you're framing them in your own mind. So one thing that I would look at doing here is framing someone as solvable instead of unsolvable in your own mind. Instead of being like, this person is so difficult, tell yourself, hey, I haven't taken the time that's needed to understand this person yet. Everyone is solvable. That's a good thing. There is a rhyme and a reason for every pattern that exists out there. Now, that brings us to something else though, because just because someone is solvable doesn't always mean that they should be solved. That's going to bring us to our next point, which is time, one of my favorite subjects. So consider if solving this person is worth your time. I know, it sounds a little pretentious to be like, is solving this person worth my time? Well, you wouldn't just take all of your money out of your bank and just throw it all over the street and, hope for the best. I mean, hopefully you're smart about your money and hopefully you're even smarter about your time because it is more valuable than money. Without time, you have no ability to make money, have experiences, or solve the humans. Time is our most valuable resource, and not every person is going to be worth that resource, and that's okay. That is not a bad thing against them. It's not a bad thing against you. All right, so how do you figure out if a person is worth your time to figure out more? Here are some questions you can ask yourself, kind of those if-then questions. Is your relationship with this person long-term? If it's not, then, it might not really be worth your time. If it is, then potentially worth your time. If it is a long-term relationship and you have to have a high level of closeness with this person. Now, this could be a work colleague, this could be someone in your immediate family. For whatever reason, the circumstances that surround your relationship require more connection, more interaction on a daily basis. If yes, then possibly worth solving. If no, potentially not. That's up to you. It is also important at this stage to ask yourself if getting to know this person more, getting to understand them more, would in any way jeopardize your physical, mental, or emotional well-being. If it does, maybe it's not a decision you want to make. All right, so now it's time to get to the fun part, the solving part. So this is one thing you're gonna have to do though, is leave your biases as much as you can at the door. It's going to be so easy for you to want to jump to a conclusion, be like, I got it, I solved the thing. Hold on. We have some steps that we want to get through first. So let's go through those. Leave your assumptions and your conclusions to the end. All right, so if you find someone unconscious, the protocol with the Red Cross has generally been to look, listen, and feel for a set amount of time to determine the amount of life within that person. We're gonna apply that principle, but we're gonna apply it to their livelihood, not their physical body. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is look. We are going to look for patterns in this person's behavior. What are they taking responsibility for in reality? What are they deflecting responsibility for in reality? Okay, so next, listen for those same patterns within that person's language. What is that person verbally taking responsibility for? What are they saying? I need to do this, I need to do that, I am going to. And then are those patterns of things that they're saying lining up with the patterns that are happening in reality? Okay, so after you assess these patterns for a while, you should see a clustering in one of the following 4 areas. And I know if they're difficult, you're gonna wanna be like, they do all of these things. I get it, they probably do. One's gonna be dominant. All right, so number 1, does this person not want to take responsibility for how things work or are valued for the collective group? Kind of the my way or the highway syndrome, number 1. Number 2, is this person not taking responsibility for their own values and what makes sense for them without the influence of external factors? I like to call this the doesn't put their oxygen mask on first syndrome, trying to do things for others, not paying attention to themselves, and this can actually cause a lot of havoc for other people. All right, so number 3, is this person so scattered in their thoughts or in their actions that they are not taking responsibility for the organization or process that would allow for these thoughts or actions to create long-standing results? And number 4, is this person over-controlling to avoid any chaos they see as undesirable? All right, so assess the cluster within those 4 categories. And the last step overall is to feel. So in 2020, in the 2020s moving forward, it's so rare that we take the time to genuinely understand and connect with each other on a more human level. We are so rushed and uninterested in each other and overly interested in the facade of a news feed that we miss connecting with each other on a regular basis. And sometimes the difficult nature of a person can merely be a result of them not being understood, and even more so, the lack of accountability of their peers and their own community. So once you track the behavioral pattern, start to bring up some specific conversations related to it, understanding that your perspective may not always be true, especially may not be true to them, but you can bring up your objective observations, be open about what you've observed, and also be clear about how it's affecting you personally. You have to be vulnerable with that information, because if someone doesn't know its effect on you, it might seem kind of out of place that you would all of a sudden want to help them with this task of betterment. Be patient with the fact that understanding someone can often be a long process, but also be curious about the fact that the solution for everything, especially within a person, already exists within inside of them. It's just the journey of discovering it. And do you know where the magic is in this? It is often the people who you find to be most difficult, who they themselves are the ones who are feeling most isolated or alone. Simply by choosing to increase your knowledge and understanding about a person will likely result in that person feeling heard and potentially understood in a way that they weren't expecting. See you in my next video. Have a great time. I hope you learned something from this video. Bye. All right, so if you find someone unconscious, it means that truly they have not balanced out their functions, not even one bit.